show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August 11th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, and we're talking about the news of the day. And Matt, a lot of good news I think we have for everybody today. We had a nice extended viewing session at practice last night, and I got to tell you, I think you and I were in agreement. Like, we were fairly impressed by what we're looking at. I really think this team is coming together nicely. We know where the weak points are. We're not harboring any illusions that this team's going to be playing for the national title. But I'm sure Manny Diaz is happy with what he's seen as well the first couple days, because he keeps letting us out there. And if he's letting us out there to watch, it means he's okay with what we're seeing. And he has every reason to be. I think the team is making good progress here in the first week of training camp. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he's letting us out because he thinks they're doing so great. I mean, I've always thought that the team and players perform better when they know media is watching. I mean, they work harder. They're not going to be lazy. Like, that's just what I've always thought. I think it's a benefit to them having us out there every practice. You know,
I totally agree.
And if I was them, I'd tell players before practice, listen, the media's going to be out here watching you guys the entire practice. I would tell them point blank. I mean,
yeah, you play like crap. Somebody's going to report it.
You right. Don't shake things up a little bit. Say, yeah, exactly. So
somebody's going to report it.
Right. So I hope that's as much a reason why he's letting us out as he maybe thinks the team's doing well. I don't know. You know, whenever they're playing against each other, it's always offense as well. Is the defense bad or is the defense good? Is the offense good? Is the offense bad? Like, until you play another quality team, you don't really know what you have. So that's always why that first game to me is so interesting, because everything you think you know from watching fall practice, even coaches, you know, sometimes don't know. You know, you think you got this and you really don't. Or you think this is a weakness and it's actually a strength. Just they happen to be going against an amazing, you know, some of the top unit in the country, whatever it may be. So, you know, it always sort of makes me laugh when fans say, "Oh, you know, this group's doing so great in practice," or this guy is killing that guy, you know, in practice, like this wide receiver against that cornerback. Like, you don't know, you know, is that quarterback really bad? You know, so. You know, so there's a lot to be determined, but you know, they're working hard. Everyone's got a good attitude. They're running around. I mean, that's all you can ask for at this point in fall drills.
So, you know, funny story. Right? So we got to watch like the first half of practice, and you know, then we had to leave for a while, and I guess they started doing some work for Alabama and stuff, or you know, that we're not supposed to see, you know, because we might reveal the hidden secrets of the Alabama game plan. So I'm coming back and I'm waiting, you know, to go in. We do interviews after practice and stuff, and all of a sudden I hear a band playing, and I mean loud. I'm like, where the heck's the band coming from? And I keep walking and I hear more band, and then I realize they are blasting the Alabama band inside the indoor practice facility during practice today, getting the guys ready for the noise that they're going to hear in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for the Alabama game. And then they start playing Sweet Home Alabama on top of it. So it was kind of cool. You know, I got a chuckle out of that. But yeah, they're already getting their mind in Alabama, which is a good thing. But Matt, for us, it's not really about Alabama yet. It's about looking at the team, looking at the players. What do they look like? What kind of shape are they in? Who's making progress? Who's not making progress? Last night I had a chance. I spent a lot of my time watching the linemen because just to explain to everybody, you know, they usually practice out on Green Tree and everything is spaced out. And they always put the linemen at the far end of the field from where we're permitted to stand and watch. And we don't really get the chance to watch a lot of linemen work in practice. Well, last night they decided to have practice in the indoor practice facility, which, I mean, I know I was celebrating the whole way in the door because that meant that I was going to get to watch the linemen. And I've had, you know, we've watched the receivers, we watched the DBs, we watched everybody else. We haven't really got a good look at the linemen working. And last night we did. And I'll tell you, the one thing that really stood out to me, and you could tell me if you saw the same thing, was Nesta Silvera. And, you know, Nesta to me, has not had the illustrious Miami career that everybody thought he was going to have coming out of high school. Maybe he's a little short at times, depending on who he's going against, whatever. To me, he is come and gone in games. Like, he'll make a great play, then you won't hear his name for a half hour. So to me, one of the keys for this year's team is Nesta. And Nesta's got to be an every down football player this year. And it's a money year for him. Let's be honest. He's thinking, I'm going to go to the NFL after this year. Well, I'm watching Nesta, and this is good and bad, but he was practicing at a whole different intensity level than everybody else in that defensive line group that we were watching. And I thought that was a great thing for Nesta, because it shows that as an older player now, he's getting it, and he's bringing it every single rep in practice, which is what makes good players and raises the level of the people around them. But who the heck's calling me this morning? So getting back to what I was saying. So so it raises the level of the other players.
It's probably Nessa Silvera calling to thank you. You should answer the phone.
To thank me for what I'm saying about him.
I know, making him some money right now with his whole speech.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah. So, like, I think it's good to have a player like that that's really bringing it every rep in practice, and he was doing it, and he looked quick. He looked intense. I loved everything I saw from Nesta. The bad thing was I didn't see all the other guys practicing with that same level of intensity. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that particular practice, Nesta was the guy going the hardest, no doubt about it. The thing with him, and again, it's just a consistency issue. And it's why he's started with the second team this week, because something's just not clicking. It's the same thing happens. You see it with Nesta every it was last fall, it was this spring, it's this fall. The coaches, whatever he's doing, he's not doing it at a first team level in the offseason or heading into camp. I don't understand it, because whenever the media is watching, he turns it on. Now, I don't know what happens when the media is not watching, but it apparently isn't like something that's super impressive to the coaches, because he should be with the first team. Like, it's no brainer. He's probably one of the top 2 or 3 defensive players. So, like, there's a disconnect.
But
coaches don't really want to talk about it.
Didn't we get hints of this when he was in high school? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah,
Without going into, like, gory details, like, we kind of could tell that there might be some ups and downs with Nesta in college. Like, we interact with thousands of kids through the years, and Nesta was a little different. I think you would agree. And so there was the potential, for some up and down moments. But right now, I couldn't be more complimentary of the way he was practicing, and I hope that means he's going to have a good year, because that'll be good for Nesta. It'll be good for the Canes. All right, so let's jump into stories on the website this morning. We'll start with defensive line coach Jess Simpson. We had the chance to talk to him after practice last night, and I thought he gave some great insight into the guys in his position group. And you could tell the guy just generally loves his players and just pours himself into developing those kids. Just the Jess Simpson interview, I thought, is a special one that I would encourage everybody to read the story and also watch the video.
Yeah, I mean, Jess Simpson's one of those coaches who isn't afraid to say, this guy's not perfect, which is nice. It's refreshing. Like, it's what they used to do at Miami. I mean, it just seems like so many people are, like you listen to the Corey Gaynor interview. It's like such coach speak, which we sort of had some fun with it in the story, that he just sort of like, what you see is what you get. Just very blunt offensive lineman, 2-sentence answers. That's it. Like, everything's great.
It was a little painful, let's be honest.
I sort of think it's funny, but
because it was interesting.
Everything's great. Everything's great. Everything's great. That he may as well just say that to every response. Jess Simpson, it's not everything's great. He'll say when a guy's doing great, and he'll say when a guy's not doing great. So when he says a guy's doing well, that the guy's actually doing well, because he'll tell you this guy needs work. This guy needs to work on this or that. I mean, watch the video, that we have on the website, and you'll see for yourself. He's very candid, and I love that, because you don't always get all the ins and outs with every single player. The way the coaches obviously see it totally differently. So I found that very refreshing.
All right, so the Jess Simpson interview. We also mentioned Corey Gaynor. Might as well throw that in here now since we mentioned it. You should watch the video on that one too.
Don't watch the video on that one.
It's interesting.
Use your 4 minutes and 18 seconds much better. Have some egg bites or something for breakfast right now.
Yeah, I mean the writers. It was the last interview of the night. Everybody just kind of was like looking at each other funny, leaving the indoor practice facility after that one. But it was. You're right. It was funny. Like it's kind of like it's different. He brings a different approach, and it was funny. So it's a light moment.
I think when you asked him about the depth on the offensive line and if they have depth, he says we have depth. I think that was all he said. Next question.
Yeah, well, the best line of the night was John Ford. The expectations are the expectations.
And he said it twice, not just once. He had to emphasize that. It's so important to make sure everyone knows that the expectations are the expectations.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I love these kids are awesome. All right, John Ford. That's a good interview. He talks about a lot of subjects. He talks about the work that he did in the off season to get the kids in the best shape we've ever seen him at Miami. He's clearly worked very hard. Obviously you wish maybe he had worked this hard 3-4 years ago, but he is in supreme condition. You could tell. Looks really good. We're expecting bigger things from John Ford this year. So if you can get Nesta and John Ford both playing at a higher level up front, that gives the Miami defense, Matt, an entirely different look going into the season.
Yeah, look, I always just sort of, I mean, people who know me and you've been following me on CaneSport for 55 years, it feels like now. It's just show me. The Hurricanes, they're going to, win 10 or 11 games this year. Well, they haven't done it. You got to show me. Like John Ford, he's been here so long. He had started every game last year. He had barely any impact. So he had the same thing last year. Always in better shape. He's put on this muscle and he's stronger. And then he does nothing. He's got to show me. I'm not ready to say, oh yeah, John Ford is going to be great. I'm not sure that he's not going to get beaten out for the starting job. Regardless. Jordan Miller's come a long way with his body. Jared Harrison-Hunte would have beaten him out last year if he didn't have a COVID problem. John Ford may never start another game the rest of the year if Jared doesn't have that problem. So, listen, I'm not ready to call John Ford, anything other than what he was last year until I see him, do it this year on the field.
Well, I'm going to be on the John Ford bandwagon right now because I like the way he looks. I like his attitude. I could see the work he put in the offseason. So until he gives a reason not to be, which I'm not anticipating, I'm on the John Ford bandwagon right now because I thought he looked pretty good last night at practice, and I was happy for him because it's been a long road for him. He's put a lot of time and effort into all these years, and he should have a good final season and give himself a chance to at least land in a pro camp and take his best shot at making the National Football League. All right,
hold on. Let me just stop you real quick because this is a problem Miami's having right now. The guys from last year weren't good enough on defense. They weren't. And people seem to, the first team the whole week, the first team, you still have BJ Jennings and Wayman Steed and John Ford, guys who just didn't get it done last year. And I'm not sold just because they're working hard and looking good that Miami coaches should just stick with them all fall as the first teamers. I want to see other guys get a chance, especially at linebacker and defensive tackle, two of the key positions that failed last year.
It's a good point.
That's just me. I mean,
No, it's a very legit point. I mean, you're right.
They don't have guys that are better than those guys last year, and it's the same guy out there. I mean, how much better can he be if they've already been here for a few years? You make a big jump. I get it, from year 1 to year 2, maybe even year 1 to year 3. But year 4 to year 5, year 3 to year 4, it's not going to be as big a jump. It's just not. You've already been here, you've already done it.
And what they do, they gave up 21 points in the first quarter to Oklahoma State. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to know. I'll tell you what. We're going to know a lot in the first quarter of the Alabama game. If Alabama comes out in that game and is pummeling them up front, then that's not going to be a good sign. I mean, These guys are legit 300-pound. Jordan Miller, I know he's lost weight, but he's still a big dude. John Ford's a big dude. Nesta is a big guy.
Yeah, I had a report. I had another. I had another reporter today or actually last night, who covers this team for a long time, say to me, like, he was just watching. Like you said, we got to see the defensive line up close, and he looks at those guys, and he knows what Alabama has, and he said, "Man," he says, "Alabama, they could just run the ball every play, and they're going to beat Miami. Like, these guys aren't going to stop Alabama's offensive line and running backs, and like, it's a problem." And that's why I'm saying again.
Up at the line of scrimmage, that is absolutely what will happen.
Well, that's why they got to find some new faces and guys that maybe we don't know what they can do yet, and let them have a chance, because we already know what they did last year. The guys that started last year, and to have the same guys minus Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche with replacements there, and have the same defensive tackle starters, the same linebacker starters, like, that doesn't make sense to me at all.
They don't have a choice. That's what they got. Like, you're not going to throw Leonard Taylor out there as a true freshman against Alabama first game. I mean, they don't really have a choice. I mean, they got to go with Nesta and John Ford and Jordan Miller and Harrison Hunt, and like, those are their guys.
I'm talking about dividing reps differently. Like, if Jared Harrison Hunt maybe doesn't, like, here's my point, which I don't know if fans understand this, but like, coaches like to go with guys that they know what to do. The player knows where to be and what to do. And there's something to be said for that. But a lot of times the coaches will use that player even knowing the backup is a better player who just doesn't know what to do every time, if that makes sense to fans out there. Like, I've seen it a million times where the guy, is on the bench for a whole season sometimes because he doesn't understand all the time what to do, even though he's a better player, better athlete, stronger, faster, every measurable, jumps higher, you name it. So what I'm saying is they need to take a chance. If it's not going to work against a team like Alabama with the guys that know what they're doing, use the better athletes, and maybe, going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction sometimes will get you hurt, but maybe going 100 miles an hour, with a better athlete will make those plays that weren't coming on defense last year and turn into a couple of touchdowns and maybe turn some momentum around. That's what I'm trying to say.
And, maybe that makes sense against Bama. Like, you
got to take chances in a game like that. You can't.
You can know what you're doing, but if you're getting the crap kicked out of you, that doesn't accomplish anything. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. All right, other things on the website this morning. We got a ton of video from last night's practice for you guys. You'll enjoy watching that. And we also update the depth chart. We took a good look at who was running first team, who's running second team.
Take that with
They're moving a lot of guys around.
Take that with a grain of salt.
I know, but it's still fun to look at.
I'm not telling you. I know you know that. I'm telling fans.
Yeah, but they love it. It's great to look at a depth chart and just see what's going on. Yes, they're moving guys around every day. One day, Van Dyke is the second team quarterback. The next day, Garcia is the second team quarterback. We're seeing movement at other positions, but it's still fun to look at a depth chart. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Hope we gave you a little bit of insight. And you also yesterday got my full breakdown on what we've seen in the early practices. I think the only amendment to that would be what I just said on the show about the linemen up front. Offensive line was pretty status quo. Not a lot to report there yet at this point. But yeah, so that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining us for Good Morning CaneSport. And until next time, we'll say have a great day, everybody.